Good afternoon. Welcome to Haunted Stories with your host, Scott Litaea. I'm here with
Josh Hurd.
Now, Josh, can you tell us a little bit about how you got involved into the paranormal field?
Absolutely. So, I guess I was around like 12 or 13 years old, and I lost an uncle who was very close to me. And there was a lot of weird things kind of surrounding his death that really got me asking kind of the bigger questions in life, like what exactly happens to us after we die, and really trying to get a firm grasp on comprehending what happens to us after we die. And so I started, reading different things from like Hans Holzer and Ed and Lorraine Warren, and it's very, very odd to like be that age, 12 or 13 years old, and to have these thoughts and to be reading these books and all of this stuff. But that's really what kind of thrust me into this whole field.
And what was your first, so that was your first paranormal experience?
Yeah, the first real experience that I had was surrounding my uncle in his death. And, we were all gathered around this table at my grandparents' house, and we were specifically discussing, his final moments of life and how he was lying in this hospital bed asleep. And then he woke up. And everybody was kind of surrounding his bed, and it was almost as if he was looking past everybody, looking through everybody, and not even really comprehending that people were there around him. It was like he was seeing something else that we weren't privy to, something that we couldn't see ourselves. And he smiled, like this gigantic smile, and just closed his eyes and passed away. I mean, that was it. So the first, real experience I had was around that table, talking about that moment with my family, and having this little toy radio, one of those wind-up plastic radios or whatever that you wind up and it plays a tune. It came tumbling down the steps and slid onto the floor right by this table where we all were, and it started playing the song "Somewhere Over the Rainbow," and which, that was one of his favorite songs, but it was also, played at one of his funeral services that he had at UCLA in Los Angeles. So for that song to play right at that moment, like that was really eye-opening for me. Like, oh my gosh, like everybody almost knew exactly what was going on without even having to speak, what was going on. It was a really, really cool moment. And then I know, like, it was the day after his funeral. I was walking through my house, and I was just instantly hit with, I don't even know how to describe it, electricity, maybe. I was standing there, I was frozen solid. The hair was standing up on my arms and on the back of my neck, and I smelled his cologne. And it was a very, very distinct smell. And, since that day, I have yet to even smell it again. I don't even know what that cologne was called. But it was very, very interesting to me that I would be smelling his cologne. And so I said his name. I was like, Todd. And hair laid back down, and I was able to kind of move again. But that's what really sent me on this whole big paranormal journey, knowing that, okay, something does happen to us after we shuffle off of this little mortal coil. There is definitely something after this.
Now, I know you've done some documentaries. Can you tell our viewers a little bit about documentaries you've done and where they can go to be able to see it?
Sure. So I've done 6 documentary films. One of the first that we did it's just called A Brush with Evil. It's basically retelling and translating my first book into film. And it's all surrounding this very dark, old, run-down, nasty, decrepit chapel in northwest Missouri, right outside of Maryville, Missouri, where I was attending college. It was very, very interesting, like how all of that happened, and basically what an investigative team is to do when they bite off more than they can chew, and they're not educated enough to know what to do. And so that was the first documentary film that we did. Now, since then, we've utilized Malvern Manor a little more, and we shot all of A Brush with Evil 2 in this building, basically doing a series of isolation and sensory deprivation experiments, which was all my wife's brainchild. So it was definitely one of the more terrifying experiments I've ever personally been a part of. So very interesting.
Josh, can you tell us a little bit about this picture frame here behind you?
Absolutely. So this gentleman behind me goes by the name of Captain Colors. He was one of the original people to own this building. He was also one of the original people to really come to this town and settle, import his family, and really build a life here. So he has very, very strong ties, not only to this building, but to the town itself.
These are ledgers?
These are old like photo albums.
Oh, wow.
Things like that, like here from the kitchen there, and I mean, just awesome stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
These are ledgers?
These are old like photo albums.
Oh, wow.
Things like that, like here from the kitchen there, and I mean, just awesome stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
These are ledgers?
These are old like photo albums.
Oh, wow.
Things like that, like here from the kitchen there, and I mean, just awesome stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
So can you tell us what experiences people have had inside Malvern Manor?
As far as experiences go, this place really kind of runs the gamut. Everything from, you know, your stereotypical shadow figures, disembodied voices, object manipulation, definitely physical touching. A handful of people have been, you know, scratched and hit and things of that nature here as well. So it really runs the gamut as far as activity goes.
So what experiences have you had here at Malvern Manor?
As far as myself, I've heard a lot of disembodied voices. I've seen a lot of the shadow figure guy that we have in the nursing home wing. Man, like pretty much everything. Like anything you can imagine. I've seen objects that move on their own, kitchen cabinets opening and closing very violently, slamming. Yeah, like in just a couple years that I've been around here, like I have definitely seen everything that there is to see.
Tell us what it's like on the other side. Can you tell us what it's like on the other side? Can you tell us what it's like on the other side?
This is Hank's room.
So can you tell us a little bit about Hank and who he was and what?
So from what we've been told about Hank, we know that he was an older guy. Didn't really care for women too much. He was very rough and gruff around the edges. Like used to sit out on the porch and throw rocks at people as they went by. Like just not a very nice guy. Like I said, up here we hear a lot of, you know, disembodied voices, usually coming from this corner right over here. Usually telling people to get out, or very, very colorful language. Definitely Hank's space is his own and he doesn't like people in there. Everything in this room is exactly as we found it, just like every other room in this place. All the way down to, you know, there's still clothes in the dresser drawer here, things of that nature. Now it's interesting because most people are experiencing Hank without the aid of any recording device whatsoever. It's usually very, very audible, rough, gruff male voice. Usually, you know, just telling them to get out. It's definitely not a very welcoming room. That is for sure, especially for female investigators. They seem to have the most activity happen to them in this room. Like I said, he really does not care for females at all. So he will definitely tell them to leave right off the bat.
Never like built that.
Malvern Manor.
And whose room is this, Josh?
This is what we call Inez's room. Now, Inez is kind of one of the more tragic stories that we have here. We know back in 1900, it was late December of 1900, little Inez was outside playing. She was either cold or bored or whatever, and she told her brother that she was going to come inside and go upstairs. And he said, "Yeah, I'm right behind you." And we know that 10 minutes passed, and her brother Otto came upstairs, found her hanging in her closet by her jump rope. Very, very odd circumstances surrounding that. But it did look like an act of suicide. However, in the actual death certificate itself, it's ruled an accidental death. So
Wow.
we don't know exactly what to make of it. I could go kind of either way on this, you know what I mean? So it's very, very interesting. We do know that she is definitely one of the more active spirits that we have here. She is also very transient, and she will follow you all over this place. It seems like we've captured EVPs of her in the nursing home wing downstairs. We've captured her in the attic, all the way upstairs. It doesn't seem to matter with her. She is pretty much with you, kind of following you around. So it's very interesting with her.
See, this is the one right here.
Play a couple times here.
This is the one right here. I'll do it quick.
That is so clear.